Good afternoon, everybody. We have the pleasure of having Dr. Button in person with us. We already had him a couple of weeks, maybe a month, 2 months ago online. So for those of you who don't remember, Dr. Button is a senior specialist for evaluation and impact at Global Fund. Dr. Button, Zhao, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, so I'm just calling Dr. Button, has extensive experiences in the field of nutrition, infectious diseases, and chronic diseases, has a range of professional roles from a junior epidemiologist to the department director of Jiangsu Preventional CDC, to a chief for strategic information at the US CDC, a senior advisor at Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and a senior technical expert at the Global Fund for the past 36 years. Dr. Button was trained as a physician with a master in epidemiology and biostatistics and a PhD in epidemiology. He, I believe, currently teaches epidemiology at Nanjing Medical University, Wageningen University in the Netherlands, University of Geneva in Switzerland, and Oxford University in the UK. He has supervised more than 20 masters and PhD students and published more than 260 articles in peer-reviewed journals. Welcome, Dr. Button. Please go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Claudia, right? Thank you. Thank you so much for the very nice introduction. So it's my second time to talk with you. I'm very happy to come in person, really, to talk to you. I feel like very important when we talk about you want to find a job in an international organization. It's better to have face-to-face this kind of dialogue, because virtually we can talk a lot of things, but you may have specific questions about specific organization. And today I would look like more general. That's how this international organization recruit people and what we are looking for, what kind of competencies we are looking for. Especially for young professionals, you may not have enough experience where you can accumulate some kind of experience to make yourself ready and qualified for some kind of positions. So last time, we talked about the international organizations. There's so many international organizations, thousands, different kind of organizations in different countries, different regions. So we have like a big group. It's called UN. UN is still a largest group for even in the health fields. We have so many organizations look at different aspects of the global health. WHO is the largest one. And then we have other organizations. UNAIDS focus on HIV/AIDS. UNICEF have children and have other immunization and other programs related to the global health. And the UNDP also, UNDP usually is the leading UN organization in any country. The resident advisor is usually the head of the UN. Also, they cover a lot of this health program. UNODC is more on drug related, drug use and criminalization and other things related to that among the prisoners. Those organizations. UNFPA more like women health. And World Bank also have very large program called health and population and nutrition. They have a big department on that. Even as within World Bank now, they have two other organizations, one called GFF, is a global health financing program. And the other called the Pandemic Fund, just recently established. They just started to recruit, call for proposal, the first round of proposal. I think last time I introduced a little bit about this pandemic funds. And then we have other things that's more specific, including Global Fund and even UN, that they have a Stop TB partnership only for tuberculosis. And there's another organization called Low Back Malaria, I did not list here. It's a call for the malaria specific. And then they have UNITED. UNITED is kind of innovative mechanism. It's part of UN also. That's part of, actually it's managed by WHO. For the new diagnostics, new drugs and new approaches for different kind of global health programs. We do have a lot of other NGOs. I list only two here because these two largest ones. Global Fund we already introduced last time. Gavi is another organization. Actually, we are in the same building in Geneva. They have top 2 floors. We have 4 floors in that same building. Gavi is a global alliance for vaccine initiative. It's the largest initiative for vaccination. And then we have a lot of US-based, actually it's government supported or this or backed up with the US funding, NGOs. So many. There's I list only 2 here. There's so many. You will have like hundreds different kind of NGOs. PSI is Population Service International, and FHI 360 is Family Health International. All this kind of NGOs, they got own offices in different countries. So many of these organizations may become the entry place. You can start your public health, global health career there in that kind of organizations. Then we have foundations. There's so many. I did not list Global Fund as a foundation because we are NGO. Actually, it's not a foundation. Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we have an office here in Beijing. And also there's other office in other countries. Fortunately, I worked for the Gates Foundation in Beijing also, that's for 2 years. Wellcome Trust got other program in different parts of the world. And CIF it's increasingly this become well known and important because they've got family, like a family foundation, but they cover so many different things, especially on the innovative approaches in different part of the program for the global health. And then we have bilateral program. That's PEPFAR is the largest one. PEPFAR it's a global, like even this is bilateral, it's cover like global 40 something countries for HIV/AIDS. USAID, you know, that's not only a health program, have other development program. And other development agencies in so many countries. Now that we have a lot of competing priorities, even in the health field, and also beyond health field, like climate change, and they attract so many resources for those programs. Health and climate change is closely linked. So probably we need to be open enough when look for a job. UN, I use this slide. It's very famous. This Trump, that's at the very beginning. That you know, that's the history. That's Trump administration that stopped the relationship with WHO. Said that we want to pull out from WHO back at them. So you can see that's his opinion around this. UN just a club, and people just come together, enjoy coffee and wine, and have good life. To a certain aspect, could be true, but essentially it's not true. So the UN is each organization has got the everyone want to get in, but hardly anyone know how. So UN is for many people want to work for the UN, any organization, but the UN never really published something centralized. You have different agencies, they have the different rules to recruit. WHO got its own, and UN has got its own, and the others. We do not have a central place for all this different kind of job. You can go, although this, in terms of categorization, we do have G level, that's general service, and P level, the professional. We have that kind of category, but it's very difficult to find a place, say, okay, all the requirements for this level are essentially the same or even exactly the same. No. So, and also that's for this young professions like you, they are not targeting on young professionals. Many people may want to get into UN, but this is very difficult to get in. So I would tell a little bit tips, some kind of trick that we can talk about that. So what are the minimum requirements for this if we want to look for a job? The education, usually that's, if you look at any job vacancy notice or this job advertisement, always the first line or the requirement is this kind of minimum education. I think when you graduate from the program, you may have met already the minimum requirement. So usually they have master's degree. I think for any UN organization, usually they have at least master level training, must have that. If we look for the global health, there's master of public health, master of global health, or master degree for the AP or other. I think this all relevant. Competencies. Competency, this unfortunately, we do not have a agreed definition. What do we mean by competencies? We do have this, some definition include skills also, even include this language as part of the competency. But many of them that just have some, I do have a few slides, we'll talk about this, what the core competencies we need to prepare ourselves. Those competencies are beyond this classroom education. A lot of things that you need to acquire through practice, through this actual jobs. And then we have actual skills, these job related skills, like what kind of specific job, that will also have specific set of skills that you need to prepare yourself. Language is critical, especially when you look for jobs in different regions and different countries. You may need to have French in addition to English. They have French or the Spanish or other different languages, Arabic or Russian. So different languages. And also some jobs may require more than one language. English is essential, and then preferably let's have another language. But usually it's around this UN 5-6 major languages. And last piece is very important. It's about experience, probably more relevant to the young professionals here. Usually we do not have actually practical experience, how we can still apply for a job and where to start. For this is the minimum years of this, that's a P level. I did not list this G level because I don't think any of you will apply for a G level job. So P1 usually don't need any actual working experience. But unfortunately, I don't think any organization actually include P1. Although the list is there, but none of the organizations actually say, okay, we are recruiting P1 level professional to start job. No, that's not there. Usually start with P2 or the P3, and you will see that at least 2 years minimum. And then we have this higher, I just asked Dr. Liu, he retired from D2. That's, you can see, must be 20 years of working experience on that. So that's when you have the P5, and that you need to have some kind of progressive experience in order to have the high level. I think that's, for us, probably that's P2 or P3 is some place we can target. So for the young professionals here, where we can get experience. So we cannot just go to apply this. We do not have 5 years, 7 years experience, but we need to start from some place. Internship is usually the place to start. Internship usually is like a few months, but this many internship always continue with some kind of short-term consultancy. So it depends on you, how you perform during the internship program, if people like you, and it's a kind of place, also the opportunity, you can demonstrate yourself, what you can do, and what you can work with others. Working with others is one of these competencies, very important competency. But the internship basically provide a platform for you to practice, to showcase, and then that give you the opportunity to continue with something else. Internship itself will not really internship is not a job. Internship is just an opportunity for you. Usually internship depend on who recruit that, have very defined scope of work. So you need to help others, and maybe some internship will assign you a specific project, a tiny, small project to start. But mainly there's graduates also that's work for the government, for the NGO to start as a full-time job. You can go through the usual process to get the full-time job to start. That is also very important. Even for myself, I start job with government. So they accumulate a lot of experience, and it depends on how you learn. And also that's the job that's like a volunteer type thing that's usually not paid. Internship is usually not paid. With Global Fund, we pay, but now we abolished that program. I don't know. I don't understand why Global Fund abolished that kind of internship program. We pay 2,000 Swiss franc a month. That's nothing in Geneva. I can tell you, it's nothing, but it's good that we have something. In all these UN organizations, I think only ILO, International Labor Organization, pay interns. Others no pay. So I don't actually encourage people to come to Geneva for internship. It's too expensive, actually. Rumpong will go. So volunteer for this. I think I'll still encourage people to go for the volunteer. Even at the very beginning, you may not be able to find a full-time job, but the thing to start as volunteer also important. As I said already, there's a fixed term, there's long-term job, this with paid opportunity, and also very important. So there's three that's with hyperlink there. One is called JPO. China was not part of that, but there's so many other countries that started JPO many years ago. US government, and also there's European countries and many other countries are part of the JPO. It's great opportunity. JPO can be a few years, usually start with 1 year or 2 years. And JPO, the good aspect for that is they encourage you to continue with that organization. It's not any government, including Chinese government, it's encourage you to stay. You explore opportunity to continue working in that organization. Now increasingly, I saw many JPO from China. Chinese Chinese government have like a selection process and recruit this promising young professional to start with this. So, but all the countries, no matter which country you're from, or which part you will start, all very competitive. This all competitive. This to be part of that is not easy thing. But when you got selected, you should feel lucky enough and to be part of that. And then you can continue a lot of things. UN volunteers program is also a good place to start. So you can start, that's 3 months, and usually it's paid, it's minimum with some allowance. But a good thing for the UN volunteers program, you can go to a lot of places. It's not limited in one, like a lot of UN, you must go to the UN organization, either country office or headquarters. But for this, you can go to a lot of places and with a lot of this different kind of program. And also a young professional program. I'm not quite familiar with, but you need to go through a process, but we have all the information here. So in a little bit summary, it's very difficult to find a job for the young professionals, but we do have some places to start. Here I walk through a usual process, how we That's what this usual application and recruitment process look like. So if you apply for any job, you need to understand where about this job description, what job is about, what kind of requirements is there, because in any job vacancy notice, always a section about requirements. What the minimum requirement for the education or whatever are listed there. So you need to organize your CV. It's not that every job, you just have one standard CV and submit to anywhere. That won't work. Because each job, even is within global health, each job got its own specifics requirements there. So you need to adapt your CV each time, actually. You need to highlight those experience and competencies required in your CV to make this very understanding easy to identify. Let me tell you that for Global Fund, I participate in like more than 100 positions, recruitment. I was sitting in the panel, all this kind of thing. Each position, when we open that, hundreds, 200 like minimum applicants, 500 applicants. We do not have that human resources to screen all the CVs, actually. So usually we outsource to someone. For that, they're not part of Global Fund structure. They just look at the keywords. Quickly, that's very quick. Let's look at the keywords in your cover letter, in your CV. Do you have that kind of minimum thing there? If you don't highlight that, sorry, that's you're out. So in order to be like shortlisted, even at the very beginning, you need to understand really quite well this about job description. That's where when we try to recruit and tell people how to prepare, we always say this only three words exactly same: prepare, prepare, prepare. Prepare. When you prepare for what? It's about this job description and about your cover letter. It's about your CV to prepare that. Cover letter, it cannot be very long. I see so many cover letters, like a few pages, that nobody will have that time to read your cover letter for a few pages. Less than 1 page. Don't make this word small. Use the font 12, even larger. That people will not have like a really patient to read your like very dense, that kind of cover letter. That would not be useful at all. So if you can quickly identify, highlight the relevant experience, expertise, and skills in that cover letter, just a few lines. And then you can say, how will you contribute to that job? In that, just a few lines also there. So with this, I feel like I can contribute. I can do the job quite well. That's with a few lines. And also that's very important. Each organization got its own mission. Do you really buy in that mission? You like that mission. You feel that mission actually fit with your ambition, your personal ambition, your professional development. If that also very important in the cover letter. Usually we use that as the last sentence, the last like short paragraph is a sentence for that. When any organization receive this kind of CV or this cover letter application, we do this assessment. As I said, I did not include here, that's the screening. The first thing is you must pass through that screening, the piece, and then we'll have so-called written test. And increasingly, that's almost all organizations got written tests. Even as some organizations have several rounds of written tests. So prepare, be patient. Written tests usually relate to the job description itself. They have some basic around the skills, what kind of expertise you have for that specific job. We use real examples. Because written test will give you like 2 hours, even 3 hours. We give you case. You look at the case and we'll test your skill, how you analyze that kind of specific problem or specific scenario, how you respond to that and how you address that. So that is the part of the written test. And then we have the so-called sunroof. Sunroof is something like have a screen here, and we have 4 or 5 different questions, and each question give you 2 or 3 minutes. Just so you talk to the machine, just like this, talk to the machine. It's not like an interview, but you will need to prepare for that. A lot of questions, the usual questions, why you think this, why do you think you are the best candidate for this job? That kind of question everywhere. Usually you need to prepare for that kind of question. And then we'll have, when you pass that, you will do this interview. Now increasingly have like a virtual interview. We do have some tricks that's in, you cannot like have like a tea, that's I'm drinking tea and then sit like not very well in the position. You need to put your face in the center of the screen. And you should not have like noise or this background. You need to find a very good place, quiet, and to be interviewed. We observe the candidates from different aspects. And that's one of that is respect. Are you serious about this? If you're like sitting in front of screen and not in a very good position and then shake here, there, that thing that, okay, this guy is not very serious about this. And then about dress, you don't need to dress very formal, but at least dress proper. You cannot dress improperly, that's improper, that also difficult. Interview usually there's 4 to 5 questions that relate to your motivation and understanding about job, and then about this whole, this what job requires in terms of competency. Increasingly, that's the organization do so-called competency-based interview. So I will list some competency there. All related, it's not about, because after you like pass through all this written test already, and also the screen, we already have some understanding about your level of professional same aspect already. We want to, through the interview, really understand your competency, also about the way you communicate, interact with people. And then if you lucky enough and you pass through this interview, usually that's, I will tell you that's what the numbers will change. And then the final is reference check. Reference check is important. You have your professor here. You may have others through the internship or others people work with you. The one thing I must be honest with you, global health is very small field. When someone say, like for example, Runpong, you come to Global Fund and you do the internship, and then someone said, "Oh, Runpong, that's too bad." Basically, you are dead, because if Runpong is really promising young professional, really he works very hard, he knows how to work with others, and then it's that kind of thing, message will spread. But unfortunately, the bad spread fast, wider. So be careful. That's no matter which step, that's where you are. Try to behave professionally. That's treat people well with respect and communicate well. So that reference check also very important. Many people like failed. I can tell you this. At least among the 100 this interview this I participated, 4 or 5 failed at the reference check. It's very serious. And one guy we already selected that guy, this Nigerian guy that's already selected. And we paid him to come to Geneva for interview. And even as we paid him to have some interaction with other team members, say you come for a day and two, we paid him, even with kind of like a consultancy, like kind of fee. We are very serious because we really see like he may be a good fit to the team. So he came and spent a day. Everyone say, "Oh, this guy is very good." And at end, because we have a travel agency, he said he want to stay a little bit longer to understand that we see this attitude very well. He wants to really learn, and the travel agency changed the ticket, not in the way the preferred like choice. He yielded to the travel agency, and the travel agency that's called us said, "Are you serious? Do you really want to have this guy?" He failed at that step. So each step, all steps are equally important. All steps here. Let me tell you that the assessment, when we have like, for example, typically 300 applicants, we pass screen, like usually have like a 20 to 30, still like short list. And then the recruiting team, the HR that will do that initial screen. And then the recruiting team will do the further shortlisting. So after that, we'll narrow down to 10, usually 5 to 10 even. And then to the written test. Some usually 5. And interview 3 to 5, depending on the position, different positions. So that's how this come to that. And after interview, we usually have 2. One is this like preferred candidate, and we do have a secondary. For that, the example I just gave, then we have like a person can be immediately, we can check with the second candidate, say this, are you available and still interested? So that is kind of process. And then if you are successful after all the steps, and then you start to negotiate. So it's important to negotiate this benefits, the salary or all this kind of thing, very important. Because the entry level to any organization usually defined already. If you are successful, start a job with organization, the entry salary will define a lot, because any promotion or any other things, all like a percentage increase. Percentage in your base already decides. If you have percentage, like you get the 10,000, for example, and then percentage increase. If you get only 5,000, and then the increase percentage will be much smaller. So negotiation of benefits, make it very clear. Very clear. Don't assume things. You assume that you look at other things, that assume things is not good. Make it very clear. And then through the contracting and probation. Contract is usually the standard. We have the standard format on that. Probation period also important, very important. We do have this people failed probation period. Probation period, this you need to be very clear about what this is job description. What are this? Because probation period is only like a few months, usually 6 months. You need to be very clear about what are these items I need to focus. What are the expected outcome? When we say expected outcome, need to be very, very detailed, specific. Should not have the room for interpretation. Because I interpret this way, I understand this way. Your manager may understand differently. Your co-worker may understand differently also. You need to be very specific. Can I confirm with you this how I understand about this expectation? Do you understand that exactly same or not? So that don't assume I understand this, and at the end of the day, your manager said, sorry, I did not understand that way. And that's where the problem, usually where the problem is, the problems are. So what the organization looking for? Education usually for this master's degree. If you have PhD, it's not like the higher the education, you will find better job. No, that's just not. It depends on the job. They may not need like a doctor level degree. Master's degree may be good enough. Usually they have this essential and then have desirable. For the position, specific position, usually they have some additional requirements. But for the organization, for that the same level of job, they have essential piece. So meet the essential piece is important, but this required also very important. It's true also for the competency and for the experience. The competency part, I will have a list of that. I will talk more of that. Experience also, this, you see that like minimum 5 years, minimum of 7 years, or some kind of, let's say, essential. And also this experience is desirable. It's not about the duration. It's about a specific experience. So this job may require this part of the experience. For example, you must have in-country or work with a community or work with some kind of specific stakeholders. You need to have that. That's desirable. Usually is about that. You may have 7 years, but then you may not have desirable some kind of experience for specific thing required for the job. These are the usual. You see, these are the competency. I don't think any of this is in the classroom. Classroom will not really teach you something around this. Your motivation is something that you need to show that during your interview, during that kind of occasion. It cannot really, you can write in the cover letter, motivated, like you can show that, but it's not like through this kind of, so I would really encourage you, even during education, during the school, you need to give yourself some opportunity to practice this kind of, I think I have a typo here. It's a lot of people solving his problem solving, sorry. So each of these will require practice. Some people may be very good at some kind of, for example, this stress tolerance, how you manage your stress. You will need each of them. It's better you have some kind of stories. How you show that, it's not like people will not really, during interview or any recruitment process, will not have that. If you have a case or story to tell how you manage it, because the competency-based questions, for example, in this, the teamwork, how do you feel? How can, or if you can give an example, what is good teamwork? That you will, if you can come with a good example to address this kind of question, will be much better. All these kind of competencies, you cannot talk blank. That is an area you need to avoid. If it's, oh, good teamwork should be like this, but if you say, I do have experience, this is an example, I say this, people will feel convinced. This competence thing is to convince your panel member, the panel, or this anyone that's hiring manager, you convince them with real thing. Different organizations have different requirement in terms of this competency. These are the WHO. These are even essential ones. It's not all of them. Dr. Liu can tell more that's around this. And Global Fund, we do have different groups. We have this functional competencies. We have organizational competency. We do have level from 1 to 3, different levels of that. So you will see that each organization, they have some emphasis, some focus for different things. Because this Global Fund, for example, the project management is very important. Communication is very important. And disease knowledge, because we focus on HIV, TB, malaria, we need to have disease knowledge on that. And for the organization, we always say this, we are partnership. Partnership means you need to work with others. Others means this, not only that global stage, also the country, the even community, you need to adapt to different situations on that. You need to really interact with different kind of people. So that's basically this, each organization got its own. This, I give example, this Gavi, you can just fancy, they have this actually on the recruitment page, it's there. So they have innovation, country-driven, teamwork, respect all the openness. So people, again, when I try to find a definition for competency, actually we do not have each organization got their own. That's also very difficult when we try to apply for a job. But the understanding about the competency is essential, it's critical for you to, if you want to apply for anything. And even as of FHI, because I use the example, FHI 360, they got 31 competencies. And for each job, they will get the subset of the 31. They have all this kind of 4 different categories. And they will, if you look at each job description, they will have some kind of essential and then have specifics. Okay. Is some tips. The first thing, of course, you need to have education and experience. So I already talked a lot about that. Then, based on your ambition, your career development, that's you want to, what kind of job you want to do. Usually it's very difficult what I want. As a young professional, it's very difficult to say what I really want. Probably something come, I will take it. I need a job and start with that. It's a reality. Yes, there's many people, because of the opportunity here and because of the internship, because of the project, that's naturally good to some places. But it's important that's what you want to do in the future. Position yourself in 5 years. Now, we are here in the first year, second year of the master program. In 5 years, where you position yourself professionally and also personal life. I think that part is also important. And then also position yourself in 10 years time. And then in 20 years, 5 years, probably you need to identify the area already. And in 10 years, you should have very solid experience for something. If in 10 years, you still think about what I should do, probably that's too dangerous at that time. 20 years, you should be an expert or something in certain field already. You cannot say that after 20 years, they're still struggling with something. So just position yourself in that. Of course, you can adjust in between. That's depending on the opportunity you have or this kind of experience. So I think that will help you to identify what kind of organization I want to. I want to more like do something concrete. Or I want to do something like more advocate for resources, mobilizing something. Or I like more like do more international traveling and go to different places, because each kind of job got different kind of challenges. Doesn't mean that you do something concrete. it's easy. No. Or that's really you travel a lot to different part of the world is fancy. No, it's either. So, and then there's network. Network is for young professionals is difficult, but you do have opportunities like Duke here. You have different lecturers. I would encourage you to reach out, especially for some kind of professional like I'm from Global Fund. For example, if you in the future you want to work for Global Fund, you need to proactively reach out to me. Say, okay, probably in the future I want to work Global Fund. What kind of Global Fund? I look at the website already. I do have some specific questions, and so that's it's kind of way to do. Of course, you have your own other teachers here as professors, and that's also the place you can start to have your own network. Of course, you can do beyond the school and other network. You need to consider internship and short-term contracts. Probably at the very beginning, it's very difficult to have a long-term, fixed-term, that kind of job. Don't never undervalue internship and short-term job. That is a place you showcase, you demonstrate. Oh, I already talked about this. Last 2 points, especially last point is very important. So be open to international opportunities. Don't say this, okay, I only want to work in China. I only want to target on US or only want to target on certain area. Open. Because each different kind of opportunities, different kind of places will offer you, will always give you something. You always have opportunity to learn something there. So be open. Don't too narrow to some kind of thing. And the last point is very important, persistent. Don't discourage, don't feel like discouraged. Recently, I had Global Fund colleague. He just joined Bill Melinda Gates Foundation. He passed through 7 interviews. Even for the interview, all the first few steps already passed very successfully. Even for the interview, 7 interviews, different panel members, 7, each of the interview got different panels. So you can see this, the organization really want to examine you from different aspects. Almost 360 kind of angle to look at you. So you may fail here, but you will succeed somewhere. You will succeed somewhere else. So be persistent. Even for same organization, you have different openings. WHO got so many different openings. That's every time, and may have the opportunity here in this country, in the regional office or in the headquarters. So keep trying, be persistent. I think that's it. Thank you.
Questions for Dr. Button?
Professor Zhao, thank you so much for the lecture. I actually very curious about the performance assessment. So once you become a staff, like for example in Global Fund, like in the company, we have a very clear KPI. So you need to support the business. Your KPI is strongly linked with the business growth. I think that scenario is different in non-profit organization. So how they assess a certain position's performance and what kind of incentive or motivation that the organization will give to that position. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a very good question. So when you join the organization, the first thing that's already in your contract, what you should do. And also each organization got code of conduct. That is something you need to follow. For example, you need to respect others. You cannot discourage others. This kind of thing that's already there. Of course, you cannot do anything illegal. all this to keep everything confidential for the organization, know where the boundaries are. This kind of thing already there. I just use the example of Global Fund. We have two aspects. One is about what is related to KPI, all this kind of thing that you need to achieve. That's by time-bound targets, all this kind of thing. That you need to have what part, the what. And then we have how. You cannot undermine others in order to achieve yours. That will have very bad performance if you do that. So you need to collaborate with others in order to get your job done and also help others to achieve what they want to achieve. And you need to, because at the end of the day, it's about organization. It's not about your own team, your own specific job. So we do this both 50%. They're equally important. Not only does you achieve the KPI, overachieve, that can only account for 50%. The other how, for example, for myself, I need to, for each year, I have like 4 or 5 objectives. Each objective is specific by when I need to achieve what. That is what part. And then I need to have 4 or 5 different to do the reference. End of the year and then in between, that's my manager will check with them. So how this guy, and also each year you cannot choose the same individuals. Okay, you have friends. That of course, you have friends. Each year you list your friends to be the feedback giver. No, you cannot do that. Each time that's because who can become your feedback giver depend on what part. Because for each what part you will work with different teams. You cannot like give a feedback giver that say not relevant to the what part. So that is a kind of matrix, and even that's now we are doing that still, but it's become less relevant. Previously, we also check with partners. For example, I work so closely with WHO and with the US government. I work very closely, almost daily work. So I need to check with others. Also, they become feedback giver. Even for some other members at the Global Fund, because they work closely with the country. The Ministry of Health or the WHO office in country will give feedback to them also. So that's how we manage the performance, what and how.
Thank you for your informative talk, Dr. Zhao. My name is Dongyu. I actually interned with UNAIDS a few years ago, supervised by Ran Wei, or in Chinese, Wei Ran. You must know each other. So I have a question regarding, I would frame this as information asymmetry between internal applicants and external applicants. So I think this problem has several levels. So on the first level, we can see that a scenario would be like an organization has hired a consultant and they are satisfied with this consultant. So they put a job post. They actually want to recruit this person, but to comply with certain requirement, they put up this job post. But for outsiders, we don't know what actually is going on. On the second level, we can see that a few job posts would like to recruit someone who has experience at an international organization. So this is actually very pro. People already inside. On the last level, actually, my experience is I have experience on this thing. Like I applied for a job at OHCHR, the UN human rights organ. So I got this written test invitation, but I don't know. I didn't know how to prepare for this because it could be about human rights law, it could be about the UN SDGs, it could be about this organization. And I only had 1 week to prepare. So I tried to find someone within this organization, but within 1 week I couldn't do this. For people already for people who already have those contacts, they could easily find out how to prepare for this interview. So any comments?
Thank you. You're really insider. You know that any organizations always require you understand familiar with organization itself, and also this familiar with the procedures and process and for the organization, because all the organization will expect someone to do the job from day one. That's the reality. We cannot, any organization, it's not an internship. If the fixed time job or this full-time job, we expect people to start work already from day zero, day one already. So that's why it's important. There's two pieces. There's do the consult, do the internship, they get familiar with that kind of organization, and also network. You need to have the network. Relate to your third part of the question. That's a usual process when a position started open. We started with internal. So open only internal. Nobody else can know that outside, actually, only internal. And then if the internal not successful, we open for both internal and external. So that is the usual process. That doesn't mean that you cannot, when open for internal, and that's the only global fund. I can only talk about global fund experience. Internal and external, that means we already went through this internal already. That's, we do not have like a successful candidate for that position. Or some positions go directly for internal and external, because we do some mapping already. All the expertise and individuals say probably we do not have a good individual can do the job. So but we still encourage the internal candidate to apply. So have internal and external for that. That's true. Some of this organization, as we have a consultant working in that position, actually in that function for a while already, but never really got a job position on that. So open that position, that candidate actually is a preferred candidate already. But for the process wise, need to open externally that make this fair and a transparent process. That's true. That doesn't mean that candidate consultant will get the job. If you are really demonstrating you are very good, you can still. But that happens, but not very often, I must say. I don't know if I answered for the preparation of the written test or this kind. You need to understand, because I said this, as I said earlier, you need to understand job description very well. Don't just read by what it appears. You need to really understand what each word actually, especially for the job description, that part, because all the written test is around that. It's around that, all related. You cannot usually don't go beyond that. The written test not in the job description.
Hi, Dr. Zhao. I have one comment and one question. So I just checked the website of Chinese Scholarship Council, 留学基金会. They actually have like scholarship for internship at international organizations. So if you get the offer as intern, and then you can apply for their scholarship as long as after you get the offer letter and before the position starts, and they will be able to pay some of the like stipends. So that would be kind of like good for students to apply for the internship and to survive in Geneva. And my question is, before I take the offer as assistant professor at DKU, I actually applied for P3 level communication officer at WHO as like a newly graduated PhD. And when I was preparing for the written application form, I was kind of like confused of like, does my PhD training research experience count as certain type of working experience? Like how much do you value this type of like research experience in the application process? And just in case if I didn't get my position reappointed and I get fired, I want to know what I can do next.
That is a very good point. I would add that I've also tried, because our contract is 9-month contract, and there's something that I would love to do is like in the 3-month summer work as a consultant. I have applied multiple times, and it doesn't seem to be appealing the profile of assistant professor.
So that's each country got this different kind of opportunities. Like what you said, 国家留学基金委, right? Some kind of opportunity there, and each country actually got different kind of things that can support the internship. And JPO is more like a systematic one. It's more make this formal process, and then got this established procedures or this kind of thing. For the situation you're describing, I don't know how to comment. Actually, that's it is tricky. That also, I think that for someone asked the question about the performance, and when you get into this organization, one thing you cannot avoid is personality. People have, your managers and others that have different, the whole people view things, perceive. You may behave like you say this very well already. I'm trying my best to do a good job, and others may not value in the same way. I think especially in the international environment, how does really interact. Although we have something common, but this, when we come to the individual, it's very hard. So sometimes being lucky is important. Your manager being nice person, and in the way the value your job, your contribution, that also very important, I think. And one last thing is about this 3 months thing. A lot of things we cannot control, but make this kind of progressively increasing something is important. You cannot do one thing for 3 months and then other thing unrelated for another 3 months. That may not help when you apply for like a little bit long-term job. So try to still, I know this is not easy to control. It's beyond our control, a lot of things.
Professor Zhao, I actually have another question, because as I noticed one of your slides, you mentioned about the geopolitical sensitive. Regarding this tricky international political atmosphere recently, especially between China and the US, what do you think this kind of political trend will affect, especially Chinese candidates when they are working in that UN system, and also especially in a US-led international organization? Thank you.
Usually UN organization got this based on the population size, got quarter, like a percentage on that. So I don't think the UN organization really discriminate this any Chinese national for something. For sure, if this any organization, the Chinese quota already exceeded, that may become a problem. So that's the only limiting factor I can see. For organization like Global Fund, I do not see anything like really being a Chinese or the. Of course, we feel like not very good because the Chinese government did not donate this time because it's Global Fund. I mean, we rely on this government and other things to donate every 3 years. Unfortunately, this time the Chinese government did not donate, did not pledge anything on the table. So that, but we did not get any like a bad treatment or anything because of that. No. Of course, anyway, they cannot avoid this politics. This U.S. government, because they're the largest donor, they may get better opportunity. That's true, but it's not the way that's okay because they did not donate. Because many countries do not donate, they still get in. Be persistent, no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.